Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for another fabulous webinar. My name is Lakeisha. I am one of the Family Support Specialists here at PTSI, and I'm very excited to introduce Mr. Daryl Williams from D-Will Consulting. He will start today as our first webinar series in the Skills for Dads program. Daryl, it's all on you.
Thank you, Lakeisha. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. I am super excited to have this opportunity and present this information today. We are going to talk about skills for dad and ways to build a meaningful partnership with your child's school. Again, thanks for joining. My name is Daryl Williams. Just to give you a little background, I am partnering with Parent Educational Advocacy Training Center, or PTSI, to offer Dad Power. So Dad Power is basically a series of webinars, workshops geared towards empowering fathers and other male caregivers with skills, basically to help them collaborate with the schools directly to impact their child's chances for success. I think, we need that in the school division. There are many factors, such as our own personal issues, work schedules, or simply not knowing how to be involved that present some challenges in this area. Trust me, I speak from experience for sure, but hopefully this webinar will give you guys some tools for what I call your school kit, for you guys to be successful and to help your children. Now, just to give you a little more context, if you're not familiar with PTSI, PTSI focuses on assisting families of children with special needs. I want to be clear that this particular webinar and this series is really inclusive for all fathers. I will touch on information that is specific to families with children of special needs, but really, any father or any male caregiver can benefit from this information. So it shouldn't be a heavy load. This really should be something all of you guys can benefit from, and hopefully will benefit from. Hopefully your children will benefit from. So with that, if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, there should be a chat feature built in. I will have some times where we can ask questions, or you can ask a question. So if that's the case, just please feel free to use the chat. So we're going to be on until about 1 o'clock. It's possible we could finish earlier depending on questions and just how fast I get through this content. But let's go ahead and get into the actual presentation. So today's agenda, I already talked about Dad Power in the series. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. We're going to cover why dad's involvement is important, eliminating barriers, relationships, specifically with the school, building relationships within the school, student success, how dad can impact student success, building a partnership with schools, your active involvement, and commitment and communication. So we will touch on all of those topics, and let's get it going. All right. So me, again, Daryl Williams. I am from Richmond, Virginia, born and raised, specifically Eastern Henrico County, Varina, if anybody is familiar with that area. I graduated from Virginia State University, go Trojans, love my school, worked in education in Virginia since 2012, worked with Henrico County Public Schools, also Richmond Public Schools since 2012. And again, all of my work has been around family and community engagement and fatherhood work. When I joined Henrico County Schools, I specifically worked with their fatherhood initiative, which really, I think, kind of sparked how all of this stuff really happened for me. So I've started D-Will Consulting in 2019. So this is a fresh effort for me, but I'm super excited about it. And really, I just did that based on, number one, my passion. I love this work. I'm doing something that is fulfilling, and really, it's impacting lives. So I appreciate the position that I'm in, and being able to do that for men, but families as well. Um, I have two sons, ages 15 and 13. So I'm in the teenage world. I'm at home, so they're both here. One of which, of course, he's playing video games, and I had to tell him, "Hey, man, just try not to be a little loud for me if you if you can help it." Um, but I have two teenage boys. My 15-year-old, he's not quite 15 yet, but he will be 15 next month. So that is me in a nutshell. So let's get into, the topic as to why we're here today. So I have a question for you guys, and and feel free to answer this question via the chat. I mean, if I don't get any responses, it's okay. We'll still move through it. But why is dad's involvement important in school? I'll give a couple minutes. I'll see if anybody wants to answer that question, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Why do you think dad's involvement is important at the school level? So if anybody has any questions, or any answers, I will read them off. And if not, again, that's okay. We will move. But again, I've been working in education and working specifically around family and community engagement since 2012, and dad's role is crucial. I don't think that most men understand exactly how important it is for them to be involved. I think sometimes, not even think, I know that there are times, it could be culturally, as to why you're not involved. It could be your schedule. I mean, we'll get into the barriers and so forth later, but the short answer to it, honestly, okay, I do have an answer. I have one person. So many kids find an extra sense of pride when doing things with or in front of their dads. Yeah, 100% agree with that, Mr. Young, for sure. Um, Kids do get a sense of pride. It's something about when dad comes in the building, and I say especially elementary school. Let's take that for instance. If dad shows up, for lunch and what have you, you turn into a rock star. It's instant, especially in the elementary school setting. It doesn't take long for that to happen, man. You can come into the school, just have lunch, but interact with the other kids, and that does something not only for your child, but it does something for the other kids as well. But your child will have pride, to have you there. They want you there. Now, maybe when you get into middle high school, that might change as far as them wanting you to be there. But in elementary school, we can find that 9 times out of 10, our kids want you there. We really want you there. The school wants you there. So yes, that's important, man. So thank you, Mr. Young. I appreciate that feedback. But at the end of the day, your involvement is going to really, it's going to benefit your child and also other students. I hit on that a little bit. And honestly, with the other students, you don't necessarily have to come in and tutor everyone or give a lot of extra time. It doesn't really take a lot. From my experience, just being there, talking to the kids, high five kids, be consistent with it. All of that makes a difference. So we want you there, and not just in elementary school, but really in all, K through 12. We really want you guys there. But it will benefit your child, other students. It's going to benefit the school as a whole. I mean, you will develop relationships there. The school will know you. The front office staff will know you, which is crucial, in my opinion. And we will get into relationships a little more. Your family will benefit. It could ease tension. Who knows what's going on in your particular family, but you being involved and knowing it could relieve some stress from mom. you are also in the loop. You're there. So you may even, I know some dads who actually know a little more about what's going on in school than mom does. So I think we need that. It will benefit your family, your household to have you more involved. Your community. It's definitely going to impact your community. I mean, let's think about if all of us were actively involved on a consistent basis at your child's school. You're doing service projects, perhaps. Let's say like summertime. It's summertime right now, so some schools are may have efforts going on where the community can be involved and help spruce up the school, work on the school grounds. Maybe it's cutting grass, maybe it's working on the flower beds or what have you. But that, I think it will improve our community. Our kids, a number of our kids are lacking guidance. A number of our kids are lacking a consistent male figure in their life. So we, not really asking you to come in and be the replacement dad for any of the kids that don't have you, but we do know that it will have an impact. They'll have another person that they could look up to, a potential mentor, someone that to guide them a bit. You'd be surprised the impact you have just by showing up, at the school. Last but not least, it's going to benefit you. I've said this often. The work that I do probably benefits me more than anybody else, I think. I do I work with people all day, every day, but it's a joy to do this. But I get just as much satisfaction out of it. So the same with you guys, man. If you come, your spirit's going to be filled. You're going to get that love from the kids once they know who you are. I am Dakare's dad or Nasir's dad. And for the longest time, that was my name. Hey, Nasir's dad. Hey, Dakare's dad. Not Mr. Williams, but you're identified as such. But, it's so rewarding. It's really rewarding for you to come into the building and really display and help the kids out with things that you guys are experts in certain things yourselves. You have things to offer. Dads are important, and I don't think that men often realize just how vital you are in the process. So I say this often. We need balance. We need balance in our lives. We need balance in our schools. It's the same with the kids. Kids need balance. You need mom. You also need dad. And you need to hear from both. You need to see both. So, we're encouraging you guys. It's not as hard as I think we make it. But let's move on. There's some barriers. Now, of course, I can't list everything. I don't know all of your, potential barriers, but I can talk about a few that I know from the work that we've done. So barriers, work schedule. I hear this often. I put this at the top because I hear that often. Man, my work schedule is crazy. I work the swing shift, or I work at night. It's hard for me to get to the school, etc. And with that, I ask guys, just do what you can. I think if you can make the effort whenever you do have the time, if your job allows you to do volunteer hours. I think a lot of jobs do that nowadays, where you can ask, do we get a certain amount of hours for volunteering? You could use that time, go to your child's school for a bit. If you're close by on your lunch break or something, just swing by and pop into class. You don't have to stay long. It's not always about, hey, come spend a whole day with us. It's not necessarily that, but the fact if you can just come and be a light for those kids. There's a good number of our kids that go through traumatic experiences that you may not know about, but having you there is important. So just we understand work schedule, but do what you can, and if you cannot physically be at the school, then do what you can at home. Ask about school, ask about homework. I'm sure most guys do that. Divorce, relationships with mom, that can impact things for sure. If that relationship with mom is rocky, that can impact a lot. So for us, for guys, I think it's very important that we do the best that we can to have a cordial relationship with mom if you're not together, in order, for your child to benefit. So, that, and I know that's constant work. That's kind of speaking from experience here. It's constant work, but it's doable. You know, but do what you can. You can't control other people, but you do what you can, um, through that whole process. Perception that it might not be your role. I think, traditionally, when you look over, what we've experienced or seen in schools over years, and it's changed, but I think, it's always been looked at, or most of the time it's looked at as something that mom does. Mom goes up to the school, mom calls the school, mom is looking through the, weekly folders, right? So we want to change that. And I know a lot of dads who are doing those things. So I don't want you to feel like, or I don't want it to, seem as though I'm saying that it doesn't happen for us, or men or fathers do not, believe that checking up on our kids at school is our role, but that is a real thing. There are a great number of guys out there who are like, look, I'm going to work, I'm going to make the money, what have you, but I don't have time to deal with school stuff, but we want to change that. Lack of transportation for some of our families is a real issue, depending on your, economic situation and so forth. Just may not be able to get to the school, but maybe there's a way in partnering with the school, or working with, other dads or families or folks that in the community. You could still get there. There's ways we can get around that or help in that situation, but it takes communication. Language, cultural differences, is huge. I've worked in school divisions where, there are, let's take for instance, like large Hispanic communities. That presents a barrier if you don't speak Spanish. So, for those fathers, and I was speaking to, a group of, Hispanic moms recently, through an event, and the guys they wanted the guys there. Moms were coming out, but I told them, I encouraged them, bring your husband, bring your significant other. We really want those guys there. But I think some of it, because the language barrier is present, it is not, they're not always comfortable being there, unless they know for sure, someone is going to be there for them. But those language and cultural differences, make an impact. So how do we get around that? How do we communicate, effectively, and respect folks' culture, respect their backgrounds, respect where you come from, but still include everyone. We want to be all inclusive, but how do we still, wrap our arms around, all dads and have them, involved? You have other barriers, such as, if dad's not in the home, he may be absent for a number of reasons. At school, dad may be seen as a threat. And I've seen this, happen where, maybe front office staff, look at a dad because in a certain way, and see that person as a threat. And that person may not be a threat at all. I have an example, where I was working in a school. One of the dads, big guy, really big guy, uh, big muscular guy, but huge, huge guy. Um, Probably about, I don't know, 6'5", 6'7", something like that, but just a massive guy. Um, but upon, first impression, when folks would see him, you could tell that they were intimidated, by this guy. But my job at that time as family advocate, my job was, to build relationships with everyone, so I'm intentionally talking to him and getting to know the guy, and he's, not a threat at all. He turned out to be one of the coolest guys, one of the nicest guys, and would do whatever he could, for his child in that school. And other times, sometimes, let's be honest too, it could be, mom or another family member or whomever that has maybe said something about dad to folks in the school that has raised a flag. So that then you could be seen as a threat as well. But we can work through that. I say all that to say all these things, all these barriers we can work through. Lack of knowledge, training, and that's on both sides. That's for the school, and that's also for dads. You know what you know. So if you're not aware of how you can be involved, the best approach when you need to talk to the teacher, things like that. And also for the school, if schools are not trained on, how to interact with dad, how to get dad on board, because there is a difference in having mom versus dad on board, but how do we build up the knowledge? How do we help get folks trained so everybody is comfortable? So there will always be barriers to your involvement, but we want you to be involved, and we want you to persevere through these barriers. So moving on, we have, for me, I'm pulling out 3 things that I see that impact student success, and this is dad. Dad's partnership with your child's school, your active involvement, and your communication and commitment. These 3 things, if you can do these well, if you can partner with your school, you can be actively involved, and you are really good at communicating and being committed to the process, and being committed to whatever you said you would do to help the school, children will be successful. I really, really do believe it. And it's easier than we make it. And I keep saying that because I do believe we sometimes make it a little hard, and it doesn't have to be. But let's get into these. So partnership with your child's school. In this work, what I found and what I truly believe and what I'm pretty good at is building relationships. Honestly, nothing's going to happen otherwise. Schools are not going to be successful. Parents are going to be frustrated. Students are going to be frustrated, and so on. Teachers are not going to be happy and what have you. But relationships are huge, so I have always operated in that fact, and I'm intentional about speaking to people and shaking hands, getting to know you. That is important. So guys, as you move, as you try to get yourself more involved into school, figure out how you can partner with your child's school. What's the best way you can do that? And it can be simple, but a lot of it is just showing up. We need you to show up. But be intentional about when you come to the school, speaking with the principal or asking just to be introduced if you've never met the principal. Come in the building, with a smile on your face, greet folks. Build those relationships. You need that. We need that. If we, on the school side, if we can't partner with you, we know the children won't be successful. So we have to have that. And having mom and dad on board is a win-win for sure for our kids. So, I know it can be challenging, depending on school leadership, your child's teacher, but I encourage you guys to be your better selves. Approach it with a partnership mindset. You will see a difference. If you come into the building saying, hey, I want to help. Hey, Miss So-and-so, I noticed, or Miss Jones, I noticed that, you guys need this room painted, how can I help? Or whatever it is, but establishing a relationship early in the school year really helps. Establishing relationships, especially with, folks that you will need for your child. Whether it's through the IEP process or it's just through your child's classroom teacher or the football coach, whatever, build those relationships. If you're trying to help your children through the IEP process, for instance, then it's going to be vital to build relationships with the folks in the school who are assigned to help in that regard as you move through the transition process and you're trying to get services arranged and squared away for your kids. Having that positive relationship is huge. So, be present, be there, extend yourself, to be your child's, to really be a champion and a partner for your child's school. Active involvement, I'll give you a few things. So one, volunteering your time and talents. Everybody has something that they're really good at. I tell guys all the time, hey, I see, hey man, I see that you paint. You drop your child off every morning, but I see you driving the paint truck. Would you mind helping us at the school? But you guys know what you do well. If you're a painter, a carpenter, you might be really great at math, just good with your hands, whatever it is, however it is, whatever talents you have. Maybe you're a banker, but you can help out during career day. We need to see more men in the building. We love to see the guys volunteer. If you have a talent, let's figure out how we can apply that to the school. Maybe you can draw or you paint murals. That could be a suggestion, or maybe you could help out in painting at your child's school. But volunteering your time when you have the time is crucial. And it's not always during the week, and it's not always during the school day. There are plenty of opportunities that can pop up on a weekend where you can help out at the school. And if it is something like that, bring your child. Bring your child with you. Let them see you volunteering your time and talents at the school and in the community. Those things will benefit your child. Your child will see what you're doing and should hopefully spark something for your children. And that's something that they would do when they get older, or even now they can volunteer their time. But everybody has a talent. Everybody, you have something that you can contribute. You guys are important, so volunteer, come on and help us out in the schools. Join parent-led groups. And that doesn't mean just PTA. I think when you mention a parent-led group, that's the first one that comes to mind. PTA is a national program. We understand everyone knows about PTA or PTOs. But there may be other parent-led groups in the building that do not require monetary membership, or doesn't have all of the same stringent rules and requirements that a PTA has. PTAs are great, and if you want to join and lead that effort, then we encourage you to join any of them. But just know that it's not just PTA. Other school divisions have different, or schools have different opportunities for you to be involved in other groups that may be existing in the school. And honestly, guys, you could start your own group. You could start a group just for fathers. As long as it's in line with what the school is trying to accomplish, the goals, we love to hear those type of ideas. I love to see men, join or lead the PTA. I've seen a few PTA presidents that are men. I've seen, we've had different groups in the school divisions that I've had, whether it's an advisory council or something like that, for the superintendent or for the school principal. But find those opportunities, keep your ear to the street, and find those opportunities that are being offered where the school is saying, hey, we need you guys. And if you're not hearing anything, don't be afraid to go to the school. Don't be afraid to call and ask, who do I talk to about, parent groups? Like, do you all have any parent groups? outside of PTA, or if it's just PTA, how can I be involved with the PTA? But make sure you have the time for it and that you can do it. But join these groups. They're there for you all. They're there to empower you. We want to give you power. I think so often schools have the power, but join these parent-led groups because they are parent-led. That means we want you to be empowered. So join these groups. You could affect change by joining these groups, and you just be surprised what could come out of this. Depending on the group, you may, I mean, it may propel your career. It could put you in a position to do something that you never thought you would do. I've talked to people who were hesitant to join particular groups or parent groups or be the chair for the group, but signed up, did it, and blossomed, and that propelled them, not only propelled the school and helped the school, but helped them, help that person professionally. So you never know where it would take you, but at the end of the day, it will benefit your kids. Attend meetings and events. Again, we know schedules get in the way, and Lord knows I can't get everywhere myself. It's hard to attend all events, and you can't. You cannot attend every meeting. You're not going to be able to attend every event, but you attend what you can. And if you cannot be there, maybe if your spouse or significant other is going, make sure you get a debrief with that person. Or if you can't be there, send someone else on your behalf to get the information. But I think it's crucial that we show up, just be there, attend what you can. If your work schedule and everything is in the way, you just absolutely can't do it. Hey, don't feel bad or beat yourself up about it, but find other ways that you can help out. Or again, if it's a weekend thing and you don't work on the weekends, then make it a point to go. Make it a point to take your kids to these things. Show them that it's important to attend these events. What you don't want to do is talk about or say, oh, this event is going to be stupid, or I'm not going to waste my time with this thing. No, you go, go, be involved. And if you notice something, or if it's the flow of the event or the meeting isn't right, voice that. We want to hear from you guys. We want your opinions. We want your ideas, but don't be afraid to do that. There's a way to do it. But we want you to do it, and that goes into advocating for your child. But there's a right way to advocate for your child. From someone who worked in the school division, when you if a parent comes into the building in anger and abrupt and just abrasive and yelling and fussing and cussing, but you're doing all of that because you're trying to advocate for your child, but that's not going to be a true partnership, because what's going to happen a lot of times, depending who you're talking to, that person may shut down, or they may not be able to get you what you need, or may not move as fast on it, what have you. But that doesn't help. What you want, and you may be angry about a certain situation or frustrated with something, but how you present that information is going to be crucial. Come in peace. Come in peace. Try to take a moment, breathe when you get to the door if you're having a frustrated moment, and talk, and let's figure it out. Come in with a sense of where you want to do problem solve. It's all about problem solving. So come in that door, but we want you to advocate, and we want to make sure you have the tools so you can advocate. And if you're not sure how, what do I do? How do I help my child with so-and-so? Find that person that you built that relationship with in the building. There's always at least one or two people that you have built a relationship with in the building, that you can talk to help get some answers. So do that. But again, advocate in the right way. Talk to your child's principal, talk to the counselor, talk to administration, or just talk to, the third grade teacher, whoever it is in that building that um, have that relationship with. Attend school board meetings. Again, it goes back to attending meetings and events. That's how you advocate. Joining parent-led groups, volunteering, all these things are how you can advocate for your child. Communication and commitment. Communication is huge in any relationship. Whether it's your marriage, whether it's a friendship, whether, work relationships, communication is huge. And being committed, consistent are huge. But when you're coming to the school, let's say it's beginning of the year, you know how you get all this paperwork and you're getting questions about, is it better to text you, email? You're filling out all the paperwork, for the beginning of the school year. Establish it early, as to what works best for you. When you're meeting with the teacher, you had that opportunity to talk to the teacher, or you have reached out to the teacher or school, let them know kind of what works for you as far as your availability, like when you could come to the school because you want to be there, you want to be visible, even if it's just in the morning for a little bit of time. But find out what works best for you. Let the school know what works best for you. Is it text message? Is it email? Do you prefer an app? You can let us know or let the school know what it is that works best for you. So we can then cater it to that. Nowadays, it's totally different from how it was when I was in school, for instance. We didn't have the ability, or my parents couldn't text or email my teachers, to get information. It was old school. It's either you pick up the phone or you go to the school. And that was pretty much it. We didn't get home visits. At least I didn't. But find out what works best for you so the school knows how to communicate so you can get information. That's the key. You want to stay plugged in, guys. So you need to let the school know what works best for you. Be clear on your needs when you're communicating. That's vital. Make sure we fully understand what you need, what your child needs. You know your children better than we do. So let's lay it out. Talk to your teacher about what you notice about your child, how you feel your child best learns, what you know about your child. Like we need that information from you, but also be clear about the things that you really need for your child. Is it whether it's in the IEP world, whether it's academic, whatever it is, just be clear about what your needs are. And that could be resources, whether you're asking for resources or whatever, just be really clear and communicate, over communicate if possible. Stick to your word. So if you're coming to the school and you want to volunteer, you want to help, you said you're going to bring tomorrow, next week, I'll bring, 10 pizzas. We'll have a pizza party or whatever it is. And if you don't show up, kids remember that. So the school remembers that. So stick to your word. If you're going to help out, you want to be more involved, you say you're going to do something, make sure you do it. You don't want to damage the relationship with the kids, if nothing else. Kids you don't want to let them down if you're going to be helping out. Stay connected. Again, goes back to what works best for you, but stay connected. Again, I keep going back to text messages because if those, it's a really good way to stay included. So don't hesitate to ask, again, as teachers or do what you need to do to stay connected. If it's an app, make sure you're checking the app. If you say, I prefer email, then make sure you're checking the email, but stay connected as to what's going on. Keep your ear to the street about what's going on at the school with your child and how you can be involved. Again, I can't overstate how important you guys are to the whole process. Having men come into the school building, having you involved in all processes, again, whether it's a behavior meeting, whether it's an IEP meeting, whether it's field day, coming to have lunch with your child and their class, whatever it is, but your involvement, you showing up means something. And it not only means something to your child, but you will find that you are impacting other lives in that building. And that is crucial. We want all of our children to be successful. We want everyone to transition into the real world with as many tools as our kids can have that will allow them to be successful. And it doesn't have to be hard, guys. This stuff doesn't have to be hard. You just show up. We've had men who showed up at some schools just in the mornings, for instance, opening car doors for kids getting dropped off. And these guys, some of these guys are doing this right before they go to work. But, what can you do? Small things, just showing up, being there, high five kids when they're going into the building. Anything like that. I have a good friend of mine, be the bus stop dad. A good friend of mine, he is the bus stop dad. Mike is out there, he's always with his kids, and that's one way he's involved. He's involved in many other ways, but that's one way he is involving himself, because when he's at the bus stop, he's not just talking to his kids. I mean, he's building a relationship with all the kids at the bus stop and the parents. That is important. So guys, just communicate, over communicate, but be committed, over communicate. So now what? You take action. Don't sit around, guys. Don't wait for somebody to invite you to the school, or, I'm just waiting for the donuts for dad event. Don't just wait for that. You can go to the school at any time, any day. You don't need an invitation. And I am so serious to say, or when I say that you guys, we want you there. It's so crucial as to how you can impact other kids. See it often, whether you come during lunch and help out with the boys group, whether you sign up to be a mentor, whether you are only coming to have lunch with your child, but as you have lunch with your child, you're making connections and bonding with the other kids in his or her class. Show up at the meeting. Don't just send mom. If it's a school meeting that's involved, make sure you're there. And if you can't be there, a lot of times, see if they'll conference call you in. Show that you are invested. You can ask for those things, especially during the IEP meeting, for instance. If you can't physically be there, they can call you. They can put you on a conference call. If you're at work, you can mute your line or whatever it is, just to hear and be involved in it. But there are many ways that you can be involved. And I do know, I'll give you this story, but I was in another school division, and I was leading just talking to guys. It was actually a Donuts for Dad event. And I was talking to the guys about how important it is, how important they are, and being involved at the school. And I was asking, what are some of the things that prevent you from coming to the school? And I always remember this guy. He spoke up and said that he didn't graduate from school. He was embarrassed about that fact, and he felt inferior when he comes to the school, so he just tries not to come to the school. He felt like everybody else is smarter than he is, so he just wouldn't come to the school. But I reassured him, along with the other folks there, that we're not looking for any scholars or geniuses necessarily to come to the school. We're not judging you based on your background and what you've you know, what you've gone through or what have you. Some people may, you know, let's be real, some people may cast judgment. I mean, that's just people. But man, I do believe, you know, what you do can change that perception. You know, if you come to the school positive, upbeat, willing to help, wanting to help, partnering with your school, and being intentional about that, um, building relationships, not only with staff, but students, but also other parents, you know, joining those parent-led groups. I mean, all of those things that you can do impact kids. Come read to the kindergarten class one day. What, 20 minutes maybe that'll take quickly. But however you can be involved and be visible, be there, while also reinforcing things at home, which is important. Man, our kids can do anything. You know, our kids are great. Our kids will be successful, you know, regardless with the challenges that are ahead. But you guys are vital. So I can't say that enough. You guys are an important piece to your child's success, academically and in life. Um, Social, emotional. I mean, that piece is so big. I mean, I work in schools and I see a lot. And I tell people, you know, just spend a little time in a school. Come and volunteer for maybe a day or so, and you're going to see all you need to see with what our children are dealing with. Um, but we need you. You know, we need you guys there to help bring some balance and hopefully bring some calm, show kids something different, so they can be successful. Um, and honestly prove some people wrong. You know, let's prove some people wrong that men are not fully engaged, or that we're not, that we even need to do all this extra stuff just to get you there. You know, have you realized or looked around at how many different father programs and so forth are around? What can we do to change that? You know, why do we need such a focus on getting dads involved? You know, it shouldn't, we shouldn't have to pull teeth, you know, to have you there. Um, but it works both ways. There's things that has to happen on the school side, but you guys can lead the effort. You guys, I want you to feel empowered, and just know that you can make impacts. So take action. Do not sit around. Don't wait for the invite or the flyer for that next event. See what you can do now, um, to help. You know, put the meetings on your calendar. Use your calendar and your phone. Um, Put the IEP meetings in there. Put the donuts for dad. Put field day in there. You know, put whatever you know. But just keep up with the stuff. Take action. Build those relationships. Find your allies in the building, um, and do what we can for our kids. Um, And you guys will be surprised. If you're not already involved, you'll be surprised at the impact that you have just from showing up. Just from showing up. Um, it is 12:50. Book the chat. Also, I have a comment. So I'll read a comment. Mr. Hudson, it's also important to advocate at the school board level to know what is going on throughout the county. Yes, I think I mentioned school board, but yeah, we want you there at the school board meeting, to advocate. Just again, showing up, guys. I can't tell you how many times I see mom, you know, our auntie, which is great. You know, we love them. Love to see mom, auntie, grandma, you know, all the ladies that come and support these different efforts. But there's not enough guys that show up. You know, when you look at the makeup of the school division anyway, especially elementary school, if you start there, in the building, I mean, how many males do you see? There aren't, probably not many in that building. I think when I was in the school building, there may have been 4 of us in there, and that's probably a heavy amount, of guys. Not every school has that. Some schools just have 1 male in the entire building on staff. So think about that. Kids are at school all day, and they are with the ladies for the most part. Um, uh, let's bring some balance into that building. So show up, advocate, put school board meetings on your calendar, and do what you can. But again, it doesn't have to be hard, uh, you know, at all, at all. Let's see, any more comments? Want to stick to our 1 o'clock time. Did pretty good. Feel like I was rushing some of this information. I mean, it's hard to get all this stuff in an hour, and I'll be honest with you, doing a webinar is a lot different from being in front of people. I like the interaction with people, but this has been cool. I have another comment. As a father of a child with different abilities is what hold on, as a father of a child, different abilities. How can you bridge the gap when advocating for your child when he has met much of his milestones? Trying to understand your question, but as a father with different abilities. I'm not, can you clarify your question a little bit, Mr. Fields? I mean, I think you never really stop advocating for your child, even if they have met. Oh, okay. You don't like using the term disability. I got you. Okay. So I don't think you ever stop advocating for your child, depending on, even if they are meeting their milestones, you still communicate, you still continue to push and challenge, see how you can challenge your child, but work with your child's teacher, work through the staff that are helping you along, and see what you can do, to challenge your child. If they're meeting their milestones, which is awesome, what else can we do in this regard? But I don't think you ever really stop advocating. We always want our children to be great and do great. Even if your child's making straight A's, never have behavior issues, you're meeting all the milestones, and I mean, everything seems to be lovely. I think you still advocate to put your child in the best position. Like, what's the next step? Okay, great. We're doing these things. Great. All right, what's the next step? But those are all conversations, and it just takes, again, it goes back to the communication piece. Reach out. If that person has given you the green light, yes, you can text me, ask me questions at any time, do that. But I think that's when you sit down and you all develop that plan. But I agree, Mr. Fields. I think I like the term different abilities too. So as opposed to him using the term disability, using the term different abilities. I do like that term. I appreciate that, Mr. Fields. Any other? Oh, thanks, man. A great discussion. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope it was. It's hard for me to gauge how good it was. Again, I'm used to doing stuff in front of people live. So when I'm doing this webinar, I felt like I'm rushing a little bit, but I'm happy to give you guys. There we go. I'm happy to speak with anybody, or we can continue some conversations, but I want to leave this information. This is my contact. That's my phone, my email. I've also left Peetsy's You probably already have that, but I left their website address on here. And I do just want to give a special thank you to PTSI and DOE, Virginia Department of Education, for supporting this effort, for what they're doing around fatherhood work. This is just a piece of what we're doing with this series. Again, we're not going to save the world in a 1-hour webinar talking about being involved in your child's education, but it helps. We know every little bit helps. So just know that this is just a piece. I'm hoping that you will join us for the next webinar. Be on the lookout for that information to be put out pretty soon. But I thank you guys so much for logging on, taking some time to hear, what I had to share. Thank you for the folks that participated with comments or questions. But I think that's it. So I'm not sure. I think Lakeisha may still be on, but do we have anything else?
I am still here. I'm trying to, in and out. I know it's for men only, but someone has to push the button.
That's okay.
So I do want to say thank you. I actually learned some things myself. So those are some things I'll take away. I really love that bus stop dad. Whoever he is, tell him he's doing a great job, because that's a very small thing that you can do that makes such a large impact on so many children. And they're going to always remember the guy at the bus stop.
That's right.
That's a very great way just to do one tiny thing to help a whole bunch of kids. Like Daryl said, we will be sending you out information in the next week or so about the next 2 upcoming webinars, and those will both be in August. So keep a lookout on your emails for those. Thank you again, Daryl, and I will see you all and talk to you soon.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.